Okay, number 3 from 5.4 says to use the substitution method. So what we have here is y equals x squared. So we're going to focus on y. If this y variable is equal to x squared, that also means that this y variable, which is the same as this, is equal to x squared. So what you would do is make a substitution in there for y. So that bottom equation becomes x squared equals x plus 12. If you move all the terms to the same side as x squared, so now we factor. You get 4 and negative 3. So now to find x, or to find y rather, when x equals 4, I'm going to use this equation right here. When x equals 4, y is equal to x plus 12, which means y is equal to 4 plus 12. So y is equal to 16. When x is equal to negative 3, we have y equals x plus 12 turns into y equals negative 3 plus 12 means that y equals 9. So here we get 4 comma 16. Here we get negative 3 comma 9 as the two solutions. For number 13, for these directions it says to use the elimination method. We have x variables lined up and y variables lined up. Typically these numbers are on the other side of the equation, so we can move those. Subtract the 3 and add the 4. Now if we use elimination method, those are like terms, so negative y squared and positive y squared cancel out, but since these are not like terms, you can't combine them into one term. It would just be 2x squared plus x, and then negative 3 plus 4 is equal to 1, and this will give us a quadratic equation. Which we can solve by factoring. So we're going to factor by grouping. So we need, if we multiply 2 times negative 1, that's negative 2. We need two values, two factors of negative 2 that add to positive 1 right there. So that's going to be 2 and negative 1. So I'm going to factor by grouping. We're going to split that middle term into these two values. So it's going to be a positive 2x and a negative 1x. Group the first two terms, and from there we can factor out a 2x. And from these two terms we can factor out a negative 1. And since x plus 1 is a common factor, we factor that out, and that leaves 2x minus 1. So then x equals negative 1 and x equals 1/2. So now we just need to find the y values. So I'm going to take this top equation here. When x equals negative 1, if we take that top equation, x minus y squared equals negative 3. If we plug in a negative 1 there for x, this becomes negative 1 minus y squared equals negative 3. If we add 1, we get negative y squared equals negative 2 divided by negative 1, and then square root. We get y equals plus or minus 2. Now when x equals 1/2, I'm going to use the same equation, x minus y squared equals negative 3. Plug in the 1/2 there now, we have 1/2 minus y squared equals negative 3. subtract 1/2. So this is -3 minus 1/2. This is, it changes into -6/2. So that's -7/2. Divide by negative. So we have y equals plus or minus square root of 7/2. So this one here, we actually get from that one two solutions. We have when x is -1, we have positive square root of 2, and when x is -1, we get negative square root of 2. And the same thing from here, when x is 1/2, we have positive square root of 7/2, and then when x is 1/2, we get negative square root of 7/2.